Hi, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Top 5 Live. I am your host, Ermeline Marisha today. And if you are joining us today, please like and share and invite your friends and invite your family. We have a packed show as usual, and it's going to be informative and it's going to be a little fun. But we want you guys to share the live, create a watch party, send the link to the group like I'm doing right now, and let's have a chat. But before we start our show today, I want us to welcome Miss Rachel Charles, all the way from England.
Hello, and thanks for having me. I was just saying, it's like, when you've been good all week at school and then you get called up to the head girls table, I feel like so privileged to be in a bunker.
We are so honored to have you, Rachel. Thank you for saying yes to be our guest host today. And I'm going to tell you, I miss Colleen, but we welcome you.
Yes,
okay. Yes, it's like I saw her face and I'm like, oh, like
I should have pulled out my Grenada flag.
Right?
Yeah, you can get one.
Right? So again, guys, it's close to Christmas. So we're gonna have we are wearing a little red
I see
today.
that. I like that red.
We're trying to be a little bit festive and stuff like that for the last couple shows of the year. So let's dive right into girl chat. What's going on in your world chat? So who want to start off, Landy? What's going on in your world?
Well, this week has just been too much. I'm almost dizzy from all the stuff. I feel like I'm in a pappy show. You know when people tell you about pappy show?
Yeah, pappy show.
I am in the middle of a big pappy show and watching, and I'm just sitting there and I was like, I feel like I can't even keep up. I'm overwhelmed. I had to I had to go and have a Zen moment and like quiet down for a second because I'm just overwhelmed with all this stuff. But I know we're going to touch on a lot of the more juicier stuff as we get further along in the show. But one of the things that struck me this week on December 1st, I came across this posting of a restaurant owner in Texas, which is Hermeline's hometown. And yes, she's a Texas girl for right now. So basically, he has this restaurant, and he calls it like a restaurant that he's created for the Black community. And we have a little piece that we want to share with you. I think Master Controller is going to try and get the video shot up together. But basically what happened is that at the restaurant, they have a live DJ that plays music while people are eating. The food at the restaurant is not fancy food. It's like Southern food, maybe with a little dash of a little bit more upscale, but it's Southern food with a nice flair to it. So he's trying to create like a nice vibe where people can come and sit down and eat. I think we're ready for the video right now. So let's play the video.
Okay.
Yeah. Ooh.
Into buying this building, into developing this concept so black people can have somewhere nice to go to, okay? Somewhere where we can feel good about ourselves as a, because one, stop the music, please. Somewhere where our people can feel good about ourselves as a culture, okay? No, real talk. And so all this twerking and shit, take it to Prime, take it to Pink, don't bring it here because we're a restaurant. And so beyond that, 75% of my customers are ladies. And I want men to show respect for themselves for how they carry themselves here. So how can I tell the men to respect themselves if you guys are twerking on glass? If you want to do it, get the fuck out of my restaurant. Because I did it for our people and I did it for our culture. So don't do it again. I don't want to hear it. If you don't like it, get out because I don't need your money. I need to provide something for my people. And don't do it again. Thank you.
Okay. So that was the clip of the owner. Basically, he had enough. So basically what had happened at this restaurant, there were three situations. He had peacefully told patrons to stop dancing. You have music playing. I guess it might have been twerking music, whatever. They started dancing in the restaurant. He had someone go over and tell them. He said after the first incident, the guests were politely asked to stop and have respect for themselves and the other customers. That was the first time. Then they started doing it another time. They were also addressed for the matter of getting up and dancing in this restaurant. Mind you, the restaurant does not have a dance floor. So they're basically probably standing up near their table and just getting down. The third incident came when a patron of the restaurant decided to stand up on her seat and hold on to a glass wall and began to twerk. And that is when he lost it and he told the DJ to shut the music off. And if you don't like what I'm trying to do in my restaurant, I don't need your money. And basically you can get the F out. So this caused a lot of uprising because they said that he would never address a group of white women like this. And personally, I think that his tactic for losing it was a bit much, but I do understand where he's coming from. There is no dance floor in the restaurant. Why can't you sit and just eat, just have your dinner? It doesn't mean that because twerking music is playing, that you're going to get up and twerk. I've gone on a cruise in the past and I've seen people dancing on a cruise that was playing soca music and they're twerking in the middle of a captain's dinner, which is supposed to be a formal dinner. Yeah. There's a time and place for everything. That's my point. Right. And I don't, it's his restaurant. He can do whatever he wants, but people need to understand that there's a time and place for everything. Doesn't mean that because there's a sexual song playing that you're going to throw yourself down on the ground and simulate sex acts on the floor because you really like the song. If that's your behavior, then maybe you're not ready to be in restaurants.
I totally get it because there's a restaurant next to my house and they have a DJ, right? But it has a dance floor.
Yes.
So, people go to the dance floor and dance. They won't dance next to their really nice table while people are eating and shaking their butt. No, they go to the dance floor. So I totally understand where he's coming from. He wants his restaurant to be a certain way. He doesn't want to be deemed another way. And I totally, and that comment, he says, that person said that he would not address a white woman. Come on, seriously? Why are you comparing to another race?
See, I have a problem with one, don't create the party, and when people come to party, you regulate the behavior. If you're doing, I've never gone to upscale restaurants and they have a live DJ playing twerk music. So he cannot have the best of both worlds. A lot of these restaurants, Black owned, Caribbean owned, they want the best of both worlds. They want to have restaurant on one hand and then party place on the other. Mm-hmm. So I get what the person says. What if he would have spoken to some white woman like that? If somebody had, broken out and started doing a ballet dance, would he have addressed them that way? I think he addressed the problem poorly. It was poorly addressed. He could have pulled these women to the side and said, hey, Da 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 da.
He did, though. This is
Instead,
the third time that he addressed the same issue.
I
in the restaurant.
understand,
And the
but
last straw was standing on the chair. How are you going to go in the man's restaurant?
I understand, but at
and
no point, as the owner of an establishment, at no point do you get the opportunity to address your clients like that, or your individuals that come to your place of business. At no point. I don't care if they're doing flip flops. You do not get to address women like that. Turn the table in Atlanta a couple months ago, or a couple weeks ago. We had all the owner of the establishment said to the African American man was, "Don't wear this shoe to the establishment," and we were appalled. So he does not get to address women like this. He doesn't get a pass. He does not get a pass. I understand things might have gotten out of hand. You know what? Don't bring back the DJ tomorrow night. You do not get to address these women like that.
You know what? The restaurant I was talking about in my area is a really upscale restaurant. So there's a couple in my area, and that restaurant, it has a DJ, and it's expensive to eat there. So I do experience restaurants with DJs. It's just that I guess you have to have that mindset. Like for me, if I'm hearing a song and I'm at a restaurant, I'd probably do this, a little bit of.
You're not going to twerk. You're not going to do a little twerk, Victoria.
Doing this?
No twerking.
No, I'm not doing that. Like that's husband probably look at me like, "What the heck? What are you doing?" Like, no.
And I wouldn't either. For one, I don't know how to twerk. Rachel, what do you think? Do you
Rachel,
have
what do you think?
in London? Are they other girls twerking in London, Rachel?
They try to. I mean, I looked at the video, and I mean, all we saw was him shouting, and I just thought, this is just so inappropriate. I thought, when do you ever address people in your restaurant like that? So when Yolandi broke it down and said what happened, I thought, wow, holding on to the glass and all of that kind of thing. So he must have literally been at his last straw, but I still wonder if there was another way that he could have dealt with it. Because for the people who were not taking part in that, sitting down there, it just looks so cringy.
Yes. I think I'm not denying that his behavior was not poor. I agree that what he did and how he finally addressed it, even though he was a business owner and it's his place, the whole thing is that you can lose customers, because I would be turned off if I was sitting there and watching this whole thing play out. I would just say that he's too arrogant and I'm not coming back to get my money here, regardless of the dancing. But I do feel that people need to know there's time and place for things. I don't know how old these women were. I don't know. But I just feel like you have to know, like you have to wonder, how did you really grow up if you're going to just jump up in the middle of a restaurant on top of somebody's chair and be flapping your ass in a public place like that? I don't.
But if you put it like that,
you know what?
I don't get it.
You know what? Sartre St. John just commented. Sartre St. John just commented, if she fell and bust her behind, I don't want to say the A word, but if she bust her behind, then she wants to sue, and that's true.
That is true.
Oh,
that is
right.
True.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a good point, Victoria. Wow. That's a good
point. In the article, he did mention that was one of his biggest concerns, and that's why.
So I think we can all agree to say, look, it was right. His delivery was wrong. And talking about delivery, good evening, everyone. If you're just joining us, we have a nice show packed. Good evening, Queen. I have a 30-year-old woman, Miss Cherise Williams, who gave birth in Trinidad, and she had a cesarean section. And talk about childhood death in the Caribbean, or the mothers passing off. Like, it seems like every time it just keeps happening and happening again. And here is Cherise Williams. She gives birth, no problem with her birth. She has a cesarean section, gets up to go to the bathroom by herself unaccompanied, and she passes away. She died, leaving her newborn. Needless to say, the family is in an uproar. For one, they're saying, look, it's kind of slack. You have a woman who just had a cesarean section going to the bathroom by herself. So this is what's going on in Trinidad. I don't know if any of our viewers have had a chance to see this, but Miss Cherise Williams, we're sending condolences to her family for this. And I know, Lanny, you work in this industry. You think this family have a lawsuit, or this is just negligence? What are we chalking this up to?
Well, I think that, if you would definitely want to go and get legal counsel just to see where it stands, because it could go either way.
Right.
Okay.
It's a tough situation.
Usually they're high fall risk, right? So coming from surgery, someone should accompany her. I remember my mom told me my grandfather he died 2 days after I was born, but he had a heart attack and he went to the bathroom and he fell. No one was there they just found him on the ground. So to me, I think it's negligence. I think they should seek legal counsel and, see what they could do. But that can't bring her back at the end of the day. That's just sad. A healthy young lady, now she's gone.
And she has a 5-year-old. So
Exactly. Yeah. Rachel, do you have anything to add to that? Like, because when we were growing up, they always said, when you have a C-section, like, please don't go to the bathroom by yourself. It have something to do with a clot blood could come back up and like stick in your lungs or something like that. So I was always like, even when my friends and them have like C-section, somebody was always there to take them to the bathroom, and I felt so sad. I was like, I'm sad about that.
And Queen said they could have said, use the bell. They'll tell you, ring the bell so the nurses.
Usually they're hooked up to something.
Rachel, do you have anything to add?
Moving.
I hadn't heard of the story before, but what it did raise for me when I saw it was the fact that Black women are more likely to die in childhood, in childbirth. And it just made me wonder what was happening. And sometimes I know, like with my births, the nurses, and we're in the UK where we're supposed to have really good healthcare, and the nurses and doctors are not always helpful. I remember when I had my first son, they just acted as if I knew what I was doing. And there's me sitting there with this newborn baby and I had no idea, So sometimes I think there isn't that much care when and I don't want to, not in a blasé way or just tarring everybody with the same brush, but sometimes we think, like saying she could have been told to use the call bell. Maybe she wasn't told. Maybe.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Especially with COVID and everybody rush off their feet, we don't really know what's happening there. But I just think it's sad. It's another Black woman that's died in childbirth.
Yeah. The incidence of Black women, dying in childbirth is very high among Black women. And there's actual studies out there that say that Black women's pain issues are most often not
ignored
because they feel that we have a high tolerance because we have that strong woman image, and we don't feel pain and we don't need pain medications. That is the outlook that a lot of other people have of us. So we're overlooked and we're not given the right treatments that we should be given, or even the options, which is exactly what Rachel was talking about.
Yeah.
And Valerie Phillip is saying the fact that she had a C-section indicates there might have been some medical problems. True. So she should have been accompanied to the bathroom.
Yes, she should be never left alone.
Exactly.
So Victoria, what's going on in your world?
Well, with the whole COVID thing going on, I know you guys are all aware with the new COVID vaccine that they're talking about. So, I mean, how I feel about the COVID vaccine is basically this. I would take it.
Oh.
Yep, I would. I'm tired of this whole pandemic, and I really would like some change. And to be honest, the way how this country is going, people don't want to wear masks. People don't want to follow rules. If we continue to go in this direction, we're going to still have a lot of more deaths. And it's going to spread, and we're going to be in bigger problems. So I feel like the only solution is the vaccine. And based on the research and the people that were involved, it's not only from the US, it's all over the world that were involved. I trust it. And the same thing as my husband, he's a physician, and he would take it too. I know a couple other doctors that said the same thing. So, that's going on in my world.
Not
so quickly. Not so quickly. So you're going to take this vaccine?
I would take it.
Don't you feel like they really came up with this vaccine so quickly? Like, listen, that doesn't bother you?
We're in 2020. It's totally different. Like that, it doesn't bother me. There's a lot of research going on. It doesn't bother me. You have to look in the research. There's scientists, very smart people. I mean, COVID is not really that new. It's just a strain. So for them to come out with a vaccine, this, it's not really that quick, but almost a year, right? You say almost a year.
No, March.
No.
No. It's not even 6 months.
No.
I don't think March.
No.
So April, May. So
From
they
the time
started May.
not from the U.S. From the time the world started with COVID.
Okay, last December, I believe, first in
so
China,
about a
right?
year that they found out about this disease, right? Because I don't want to count the U.S. because they knew about it. It's just
we didn't do anything.
Being whack.
All right.
So like to me, it's just like, yeah, I trust it. I'm really tired of the whole situation. Like I really want to be normal. Like
COVID fatigue.
Yeah.
Well, like I want to travel. I want to, like seeing my life just go by.
But let me tell you, now is the best time to travel, man. Those planes are clean. The hotels are empty.
It is clean, yeah.
I was in Puerto Rico. I got upgraded to a suite. The hotel was empty. The pool empty. They're just giving you all kinds of perks if you travel. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's true. So it's still
everything is clean, much cleaner now.
All right, guys. So let's move along a little bit. So everybody, we saw the debacle unfold on social media with Major Hype and his ex, and I know we all have a lot of opinion on it, but my take on it, I'm gonna use this as a teaching tool, so we can go back to ourselves, like whoever is in an abusive relationship or who whether you're in it or you just got out, is to just know the signs and the traits of a narcissist. And where that's where I would say mind your own business. So look into your household, and if you are going through that, I want you to be educated on the trait of a narcissist. So let me list the trait of a narcissist. We're going to talk a little bit more about the debacle a little later, but I want to give that educational piece before we move along. All right, so a narcissist. So a narcissist is someone that is going to use, they use traits like gaslighting to control and abuse their, use that as power and control to control their victims, right? What you really need to know, they do have a sense of entitlement. They feel entitled to things. They lack empathy. That is why we keep the empaths. We are empaths. A lot of us who end up with narcissists are empaths. So they prey on our forgiveness and our tendency to take them back and to feel sorry for them and to nurse them back into whatever they are doing. But they lack empathy. They do not empathize with others. So that is why it's hard for them to change. They will blame the victim. They will look for anything to blame the victim. So I would say to the women out there, as you can see, the world always wants receipts and proof. Do not let them get away with stuff that you can prove. I remember staying in my abusive relationship 3 years. I didn't call the police. So if somebody today had said, "Oh, where is the receipt?" I probably would not have none for the first 3 years until an elder advised me, "Hermelin, you have to think about yourself." At the time, I was not. My adjustment of status was not approved as yet. She said, "What if he decides not to do it?" She said, "Protect yourself." And that's when I called the police on 3 occasions. And after the 3 occasions, I still did not call anytime after the 3 occasions. So after 3 years, 3 occasions, and then I just let all the other parts go away, because in our mind, we think they're gonna change. In our mind, we are still thinking about the kids. We don't want the kids to know, like, oh, we put their fathers in jail and these things like that. And to be honest, we still love them. Okay? They are unable to apologize. So what they're gonna do is deflect. They're gonna deflect everything, put it on you, what you did and what you didn't do. So do not think they are not getting evidence on you. Sometimes they are getting evidence on you for when things like that comes out in social media, in the home, they will use it against you, and then you have nothing to use against them. They will exploit anyone who is going to listen to them without shame or guilt. Okay? And what they will do, they will demonize you, they will intimidate you, they will bully you, and they will belittle you. So these are the traits of a narcissist. So if you are dating someone like that, and whether you choose to stay in a relationship or not, I'm just giving you the traits. do whatever you need to do with that information. But no, you have to protect your own self. So if you have pictures, delete them. If you know you're doing whatever, get them off your phone. Protect yourself. Not because they are not confronting you and stuff doesn't mean they do not know what's going on in your phone. So that's what I have to say about.
So Herbie, if I'm hearing you correctly, if you're in a relationship with a narcissist and you're cheating, delete pictures. I guess I misunderstood, because you have to keep pictures of the abuse, don't you, and stuff like that?
No, keep the pictures of the abuse. But like some people will say, the pictures that was sent. I don't know what women do. I don't have no other person pictures in my phone, so I have nothing to delete in relationship But for the women who maybe who are doing that, I would say get rid of these things.
Got it. The
pictures that you really need is the pictures of the bruises, the cuts, the confrontations, if he's doing something, you have an argument or whatever, you take a picture, like, hey, put your phone on record. Put your phone on record so you have a back and forth, like how this went down. You have to protect yourself. As you can see, he has more receipts than her. So I say to the women, gather your receipts. And the reason why a lot of us don't gather receipts, as I said before, is because we still love them and we don't want to get them in trouble. So Rachel, since you are a freedom coach, what would you like to add to this debacle that is playing out on Facebook right
now? Yeah, it's a little bit of a mess. And what I saw was what we were talking about today: hurt people. And one of the things I wanted to say was, when you look at what's happened, so you've had the allegation and then you've had numerous responses that's come out of that, and there's all kind of crazy stuff that came out of that. But when you realize that people do things in relationships because they are hurt themselves, one of the things that I think women need to realize, that when you understand that the person is hurt and that's why they're doing things like that, that doesn't mean that you have to stay there to help them. That doesn't mean that you have to stay there to fix it, because that is not your problem to fix. You need to look after yourself. You need to make sure that you are safe, and you need to get out. That person needs help. Let them get their help for themselves, because a lot of the times we stay in there thinking, oh, it's going to get better. I'm doing the work on myself, and by some sort of osmosis, it's going to rub off on the other person. It doesn't work like that. So the most important thing is, and they always say, put your oxygen mask on first, sort yourself out. A lot of women go into relationships thinking that we're saviors and we single-handedly are gonna solve this relationship issues.
Yes,
we need to protect ourselves and get out.
And I want you to define gaslighting for us, Rachel, because that is one of the tactics that a narcissist will use that keeps us staying in the relationship.
So gaslighting is when you think you're going crazy. And I'll give 3 examples of what gaslighting is. And most of us would have either experienced one, if not 3 of them. So the first one is, you confront the person about something and say, I don't like what you said to me. I don't like what you did. And then they turn around and tell you, oh, you're being oversensitive, or you're overreacting. And you feel as if, well, I can't get angry over something. And you start wondering, well, am I too sensitive? Or, did I overreact? So that's one way that they do it. So they dismiss your feelings. The second way gaslighting could happen is deflection. So you bring up, oh, I don't like, you might point out something that they did again. And they turn around and say, oh, really? What about when you did blah, 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 blah? And they start bringing up stuff from 1945 about all the stuff that you did, and they list all of your flaws. So all of a sudden, the conversation is no longer about what they've done. It turns on to you and your behavior from whenever and all of your flaws. And then the third type is denial. So if you say something to them, they will totally deny that that's what they said. If you confront them about something, or they will tell you that, this is what you said. And you could be literally sitting there saying, I didn't say that. Oh, yes, you did. And you will literally be sitting there questioning your sanity if you are able to prove them. So I know, like for me personally, there was a time when, I'd be going back through my text messages saying, look, I actually did say this. This is what happened. If you're able to prove it, then they go back into deflection mode. And so they would deflect it and say, sorry, is the feedback coming from me?
Yeah, there's an echo, just a light one.
Yeah. So if you're able to prove it, they will just go back and deflect it and telling you, that you're the person at fault. And if you ever feel the need to record your conversations, if you're in, and that could even be at work as well, these things happen. If you're ever in that need, then know that you are being gaslighted. You would literally be questioning your sanity. You would be questioning your version of reality,
Yikes! That's heavy. That is heavy, Rachel. I'm sitting here going, wait a minute, because I do that with my husband. But I don't think he's gaslighting me or I'm gaslighting him. So you're saying it's in abusive relationships or just normally as human beings, we're all gaslighted at some point?
It can happen at some point for everybody, but you will know if there's a problem, because if you know that you've sat there and you just think this keeps happening every time I say something, I'm shut down because you're bringing up my fault.
Yeah.
Or every time I say something, you're telling me, oh, you're too sensitive, you can't take a joke. You will know, those things do happen naturally, but it's when it's excessively. And then you go into where Homelin spoke about earlier about walking on, was it Homelin that spoke about walking on eggshells, where, you don't really want to say I think it's a whole other conversation I'm thinking of. You don't really want to say anything because you think, okay, if I raise this fault of his, he's going to bring up something and it's going to cause an argument. So you will know if there's a problem. But normally things will happen like that. But if you find yourself having to type long emails or long text messages to explain yourself over and over, to try and get the other person to understand your point of view, and it just feels like this war of words, then that's gaslighting, because you're sitting there thinking, I really have to explain myself because we can't have this normal conversation. Because if the person doesn't sit there and say, oh, maybe I didn't hear you properly, or maybe I didn't understand that properly, then, if they can't say that, that's a problem.
And Julian Latham says, I am so ashamed of the two of them. And I think I'm with Julian, because I felt emotionally invested in this war all week. It was to the point where it started affecting me. And I'm like, I have to let this go.
Yeah,
and
me
Julian,
too. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, this is not about me. Like, let me let this go. But Julian says it well. I am so ashamed of the two of them. It is too much information for a relationship that had many flaws on both sides. Both of them have a lot of issues to resolve. True. Mm-hmm. Right now they are gaslighting. So this is a common term. I've never heard it before.
Yes, they
right
are,
now they're gaslighting each other, and they both are getting burned in this diabolical revelation. They're airing dirty laundry in public, not dirty. I feel shame for the two. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where I'm at the point now where I'm like, you know what? Because Major Hype is somebody that I used to love and respect. And I went to his page, I dropped his Instagram, then she came out. I'm like, I'm done. I am
I'm done too.
Yeah, I'm done with the both of them.
I'm with you, Fundy. I'm done. Yesterday I was like, something, I said enough, and I'm just gonna give information to women who needs it, because I am. And the GoFundMe thing, her friend started this GoFundMe thing for her, which I think was like, oh God. When I saw that, I just started to be like, oh, bang, bang, bang. Even though it was a friend that did it, still, like, did you approve that? And you actually put it, you're losing credibility when you do that. However, that doesn't mean he didn't abuse her. That didn't mean,
or that doesn't mean both
that doesn't mean that they don't have this thing going on in their relationship, but it's just like bad decisions, they're making every day. So I'm done. I'm done with that.
I'm concerned. My concern is, it's like, okay, he has come a long way in building his career to where he's a well-known comedian in the Caribbean community, and he was stepping outside and he's becoming well-known. And I hate to see somebody work so hard for, to get to where they are, to fall because of a relationship that probably should have never been so public in the first place.
Right.
People need to learn to, if you really want to protect your relationship, not everything needs to be put on social media. There's things that need to be kept quiet. The fact that, there's all these kids on both sides. He has children from a previous relationship. She has a child from a previous relationship. All of this stuff is going to make it very uncomfortable for people to go to school or to talk to their friends when, your mom is, a video of her is circulating, having sex with a stranger. Your dad is saying that he was molested when he was a kid. There's just so many pieces.
It's heavy. It's just so heavy stuff.
So I really feel for both of them. I don't know him personally. I'm not gonna say he did it or he didn't do it.
I don't think she was. I'm not defending her, Landy. So I'm not defending her, but I don't think she was having sex with a stranger. I think it was one of her little boo things.
Well, it seemed like she had a lot of boo things.
Yeah, it's her body. I mean, if I want to have a bunch of boo things, but I just didn't want it to be said that it was with a stranger. I think it was with the boo thing.
We don't know because there was a long live on another show saying that they broke up between October and March. She went back to him in March. So like, it was a booting between October and March. We don't know. I don't know. I'm not digging into this stuff. But what we're gonna dig into, what I want us to dig into is, does the Caribbean community normalize abuse?
But that's the thing, because whether it's a boo thing or not, it doesn't justify abuse. So, and when she came out, initially, all we saw were her first 2 Instagram videos. And all that was saying was, leave me alone, let me go. And all of the mess that was dragged into the arena has been dragged from the person who has the career to protect. Right. So you think, who is advising this guy? Because no normal person will be doing all that stuff, because what he's done is push himself further out to show that he's a little bit guilty of some stuff. So
yes,
the bottom line that comes, I would say, come under that is there was abuse, and nothing justifies it, even though they both are a mess, it looks like.
Okay, guys, we have to go to a little commercial break. Okay. Guys, let's break. We missed that.
Good.
And we are going to come back and answer the question, does the Caribbean community normalize abuse? Let's bring this conversation home after this break.
All right, thank you.
Hey, I got some good news for you. Looking for a passionate immigration lawyer with experience that spans over 2 decades? Someone trusted that served immigrant families just like yours? Well, look no more. Now you can benefit from her personal and professional experience. Diane Winter Funde. Schedule a consultation now and get assistance with your immigration journey. Specialize in adjustment of status, B1 business visa, B2 visitors visa, consular processing, deportation defense, naturalization, and more. Give us a call today at 813-815-3529. That's 813-815-3529 or online at winterimmigration.com. Attorney Diane Winter Funde, law done differently.
Welcome back. Okay, so Diane raised this conversation on Thursday when we were right along, but unfortunately we weren't able to answer that question. And she had asked, does the Caribbean community normalize abuse? And my answer is yes. Because I remember when I was going through my abuse, I remember getting a lot of advice on a little licks wouldn't hurt. A little licks just put you back into place. Your mouth is too much. You need to go back into place with a little slap here and there. No one ever died. And I mean, I guess they're talking about in their time, because we didn't know women die from abuse. So in their time, I heard, oh, nobody never died from a little abuse. So I think we normalize it. Some people I won't say have fun, but he was like, yeah, I bust his mud. She bust my mud. Yeah, I this, I dragged him. I this, I that. And they're laughing about it after, you know. So it's, yeah, I think it's normalized in the Caribbean community.
I think
what do you guys think?
I think it's the opposite, because growing up, you know, I grew up with a Caribbean family. I remember young that my grandmother always used to say, never, ever always make an escape. If someone tries to abuse you in a relationship, make sure you get out of it. Make sure you have something of your own to get out of it. And I always heard that from my grandmother, my mother, and they're born in Grenada, grew up in Grenada. So I never heard what you said,
Well, it's two different generations. We have two different generations, hon.
My mom is 56. My grandma.
Well, that's what I grew up. That's what I'm just expressing what I grew up and what I heard.
I think it's common in the Caribbean. So my mother, of course, would say, "Don't no make no man put their hand on you," right? But at the same time, in the Caribbean, when women are abused, either they go to the police station. Maybe now, something is being done. But even if they go to the police station, sometimes the law enforcement will say, "Go talk to the pastor." And it's these women, very few of them have any means of escape. So they stay in these abusive relationships for a very, very long time. And I remember growing up and even being with my son's father and being abused. And I didn't even call it abuse because I thought it was love. You know, and this was in New York City in the 90s. This is not 30 years ago. You accept how you're spoken to, you accept. And I was semi-educated, I was employed, but yet I would accept a lot of these things. And even my girlfriends, we would talk about it like, oh, man, fight and Ray. And you never really left that relationship. So growing up in the Caribbean, I think it was very much normalized. Think of it, Caribbean men pour gasoline on women. Caribbean men kick woman downstairs. Caribbean man bust up back in a woman's head. And you end up going back. A lot of women end up, and I'm not saying all Caribbean men, so please don't say all Caribbean men, but it happens more common than not. And there's not this big outcry. A lot of times people ask, what did she do? What did you do? Why this happened? So I think to some extent, it is normalized. It's not highly punished. Sometimes the police can't even bother because they know, look, last week you and the husband fight. We're gonna fight again this week. I'm not gonna do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing fights with men and women, and even though a brother will probably hit the man, beat the man or whatever, and you see the mother, she is nursing the daughter back to hell. But in the nursing back to hell, if you hear what she's saying, okay, honey, baby.
Go back home to your husband. Yes.
Go back to your husband, honey, baby. I want you to go back and you keep your mouth shut, right? And do your work, right? Okay.
Yes.
Don't be talking to Lydia down the road because you know that's going to upset him. And she's nursing her daughter back to hell, but she's telling her to go back as well.
Yeah.
That's what I saw.
And that whole thing that he's doing it because he loves you. If you don't hit me, is because, he hits me because he wants me to go right. And a lot of people say, don't try and get these women out because they like it, but it's because they think it's normal. I grew up in Grenada for about 10 years, and I remember seeing women, and you hear the screaming, you know what's going on. People act as if it's not happening, and nobody talks about it. And then the children are in the house, they see it, they think it's normal, and the cycle continues.
Very normalized. And I know we're talking about abuse, but we do have a poll going on. If whether you will take the vaccine or not, and we're going to come back to whether the Caribbean normalizes it. But Candy Francis works at Yale, and she says infectious disease. They had a call, and most of the doctors are going to take it. Right now, the poll. Where's the poll, Hermie? I don't know if you saw the results for the poll where we are.
Oh yeah, it's right in there.
What's the percent?
74% says no, and 26% says yes. You see it?
Oh,
girl, I don't have my glasses, so you know what the glasses are.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so 74% said they will not take the vaccine right now, and I guess 26% is saying yes, they will. That's Victoria, is in the 26%?
That's Victoria.
Yeah, that makes me 27. But No, but Candy Francis says, I work at Yale with some of the doctors involved in infections, disease, and that was one of the questions. She had a last call with them, and they're all going to take it. They also said to really ignore the noise because the doctors working on vacation are world renowned and not guided. So, and that's based on like the same thing when it comes to my research, when it comes to the vaccine. I mean, I think it's just everyone is with their old conspiracy and
got it.
Listen, hey, everyone's going to say they want to take the vaccine, but nobody want to wear a mask, right?
And Mo posted, men are treated like kings and women like maids. That is so true, Mo, in the Caribbean. Even growing up in our household, I don't know if my dad was treated like a king, but we did everything. I mean, as a woman, we did everything. And it was to the point that even when I moved here, a part of me said I didn't want to marry a Caribbean man because I didn't want to cook, clean, wash. I don't want to do. I'll do it, but I don't want to feel like it's
obligated.
My obligation. I did not want to feel obligated. Like I have to be cutting the wood. They get the wood, but I have to be making up the fire, killing the chicken. I just felt like I did not want to do that.
Yeah, no, that is true. I feel like it's Caribbean parents are they're less hard on the boys. They teach the girls, you need to cook, you need to clean, make sure you do this because of your husband. You have to do this if you want a husband. And there's But with the boys, they're here, come get your plate of food.
Yes.
Come to the table.
Yes, come sit down. You want extra dumpling.
Yeah. Landy.
Like, okay.
Landy, we want to hear from you, Landy. You're quiet on this one.
Yeah, I've been quiet and I've been thinking, and I've been thinking to myself that, okay, yes, we're talking about normalizing abuse in the Caribbean, but I don't think it's a Caribbean thing. I think that Black women, in comparison to white women, we're not valued like how white women are valued. That's number one. White men value white women 100%. Remember Emmett Till and all those other people who were killed senselessly for even looking at a white woman. A white woman's virtue is everything. We don't have that same protection. We don't have that same respect. So that, in my opinion, that goes way deeper in saying that when things happen to us, it's like, okay, well, she can just handle it. Or you know that somebody's getting beat next door and you can hear the tussling and things falling and screaming, and people will just pretend that they're not hearing it. Or they'll see the person on the street and they'll be silent. And that is normalizing, and it's normalizing it for us. And I think that, you know, it goes without saying that we as Black women, we also need to be willing to stand up for other women who are going through these situations. And we need, the same way that we always go to bat for Black men and always willing to defend and stand up for them, it would be nice if we had the same respect and someone to have our back in the same sense. I think that's part of the problem.
You know, Landy, I agree with what you're saying there too. We are not valued enough. But however, I think a myth that goes around, we think, you know, like a lot of us, which I was one of the people who think like white women don't get abused. And being an ex-nanny, I have worked with, like, if I work with 10 families, 8 of them was abused secretly. You know, I remember finding my boss in the garage. Her husband beat her and he put her out in the garage to sleep on a cold garage floor, you know?
I agree with you, because I agree with you, Hermie. I agree. You know what is so funny?
Yeah, let me just finish my thought. I'm funny. Just let me before I lose it. Before I lose the thought. And you know, and I nursed like a lot of. I was taking care of the kids, but I nursed a lot of the mothers back into that abuse. They do not call the police. They do not report them. Everything is in silence. And I mean, that still wants to tear me up just to remember the people that went through that. Also, I'm in about 10 domestic violence white group, and the things these women say their husband does to them. Like I would, in the beginning, I would cry. They will kick them. They will spit on them, and that's white relationships. They will spit on them. They will not give them food to eat. They will bust open the wall. They will do all things. So I think I'm meant to that we have to get out of our head that white men don't beat the white women.
I'm not saying that it doesn't
No,
happen.
no, not with you. Yours. I know. I'm
Yeah.
just saying. I'm just adding on to what you're saying. I'm agreeing with what you say, but I just adding on to because I'm in groups where when I say that they're like, "Oh, really?" And I know people that is in very emotional abusive relationship with white men, and they are black women.
I agree, Hermie. I wasn't thinking about that because I too worked as a nanny, and I don't think there was any physical abuse, but they cried. They went through their things just the same. The point I want to go back to, Landy, when you said black women are not valued, and that is so true.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, if I open my mouth, first of all, if a white woman opens her mouth anywhere and say, you know, he kicked me, he beat me, everybody believes her, and we even cry with her, right? In fact, if we remember the you know, where the young man from Barbados was shot by the police officer, Amber, whatever the police officer's name is. At the end of it, she was hugged by the family, right? I think with black women, when we say we're hurting or that we're abused, we're more questioned and judged. And I'm guilty. I'm guilty. I am so guilty because deep down, I'm like, what you do? What you do? I even have to check myself, be like, nope, not this time. So and we even move the goalposts, because if I say I'm beaten, we move the goalpost to something else. To say, all right, how many men were you sleeping with? Why?
Yes.
It doesn't mean I wasn't beaten about. We just move. We keep moving the goalposts for black women. So for me to come out and say I'm beaten, I'm being abused, I have to make sure my entire life is just clean. I have to make sure that I'm so innocent, I'm so pure. So that means they cannot find anything on me. Otherwise, I'm going to be dragged by the community.
Yes,
and the
that
thing I
is
find
true.
difficult as well is it feels like it's other women who are doing that as well, and that's what I find very difficult with this whole thing that's been happening is some of the harshest comments have come from women, and I wonder, you know, have they been through it themselves? Are they hiding their own shame? Because, you know, why would you drag a victim so much if you don't know the whole story? And I find that very hard to deal with.
Yeah, me too. Is like because I go back to my own abuse and I'm like going like, did I have would I have this proof? Would I have that proof? Like, I don't know if I would have all these receipts you guys asking for.
Right. Because I didn't have my faculties. I wasn't thinking about that.
I wasn't thinking about that.
Even when I work with victims, when I'm doing immigration cases and like a woman comes to me, I have to start prepping them. Be like, listen, we're going to need even the service, the immigration service. You cannot just go in there with a black eye. That is not enough. You need proof. You need all kinds. You need witnesses. Who did you tell? When did you tell them? I didn't tell anybody. I was too ashamed. I didn't want to tell anybody. But as a victim, you're expected to have all these receipts, especially if you're a black woman.
And that is where I come in my work. I really want women to know that you have to have, as the community say, your receipts, because I can't remember the lady who gave me that advice, but I thank you so much for telling me to make those police reports, because those police reports worked in my favor later, because when they're asking for proof, that was my proof. So we have to have our receipts. Don't get caught up in the lies when they coming back and do the sweet talk. Oh, you know, I love you. You know, because this is what a narcissist will do, or abuser will do, right? He's going to abuse, right? The police is going to come. The police is going to talk to him. The police is going to tell him, oh, do you have somewhere to go right now? He's going to go somewhere by his brother, his friend, his other woman. We don't know where he's going. The police is going to tell you, I'm giving you this resource. Go to Catholic Charities and get some counseling. Now, he told him that in front of you. Now, so let's say that happened on Wednesday. On Thursday, Friday, he's not going to contact you. But on Saturday, he's going to come back. Oh, I want to see the kids. Oh, I miss you. No, you thinking this is real. But the main goal is for you not to go to Catholic Charities and tell your story and have that there, because it happened to me. And it's like, we go in and it's like the Monday when we got ready to go to the thing. I mean, he's like the best and nicest person ever. We go to the counseling, and listen to me. I'm sitting across the mat and I'm like, and the man is talking to the counselor. I'm going like, I don't know who is he talking about?
Who is this person?
Who is he talking about? Then he's gonna be all kind of. Then the person gonna reschedule you and say, oh, come back in the next 2 weeks. And he is going to be nice until that counseling is over, or he is going to talk you out of it. Because how many times I was taught when the police said, oh, well, we're going to make this report, but you have to go downtown and do this and take a restraining order and do this. I ain't going to do no restraining order. I'm not doing that because he already done sweet talk me in 48 hours. He ain't telling me do not go and file a restraining order. Is, oh, I want my family, I want this, and anything that you tell them about yourself when you were younger. So, oh, you know your mother don't love you the way I do. I love you the most. So it's like, and then you get trapped, so that is why a lot of women don't have receipts, because we are talked out of the receipts.
Yeah.
But I just want to add that I'm married to a fabulous Black man. There's no abuse. And this is not bashing Black men at all, or Caribbean men. There's some fabulous Caribbean. There's some fine Caribbean men out there, and some of them are watching on this show, or Caribbean women, that we're not abusing anybody. So it's not a, you know, we're not painting with a broad brush. We're not painting with a broad brush.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, I mean, a beautiful Black man now with no abuse. So I mean, yeah.
As we were saying on Ride Along the other day,
there
is life after abuse.
There is life after abuse.
There is life, and there is love out there.
There is.
Yes.
Found it.
Yes.
I want to highlight a comment from Wolfgang Rockefeller. I believe it's a man. He said, oh, I thought that was the wrong comment. There was somebody who said something really nice about us being nice to powerful Black women. Anyways, oh yes, this was it. He said, look at all these powerful, innovative, educated, trend-setting, independent, trailblazing goddesses.
Ooh.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We agree with you, Wolfgang. Thank you so much.
And guys, we had such a great conversation, and I didn't want to interrupt it. And we do have one more topic, but I'm thinking we're probably going to leave it for next week, because it's coping with depression and loneliness during the holidays. And we really want to connect with our community and make sure you guys are okay. So we don't want to give you 3 minutes of that. We want to give you a good 15 minutes of let's talk. So prepare for next week. Let's talk about, are you lonely during the holidays? How you feeling? Are you missing your parents? Are you missing? Some people might go through deaths. We know COVID happened. Like, what is going on in your mental state during the holidays? So we're gonna pick that up in another show.
Especially for those who can't go home, because I know a lot of Caribbean people would be heading home for Christmas, and now you can't get to go see mommy, daddy, the loved ones. I don't know if you're sending the barrel still, or what's the plans are. So we definitely got to touch on this and see how our Caribbean folks are doing in light of our first COVID Christmas.
Yes. So guys, we have 2 minutes, guys. What do you guys want to talk about? 2 minutes. Who want to spotlight? Rachel, we want to thank you very much for gracing us with your beautiful presence all the way from England. And it's nearly 11 o'clock over there.
Yeah.
So it's bedtime.
How cold is it? How cold is it, Rachel?
I don't do colds.
Isn't it cold over there?
It has to be.
I don't think it's as cold as some parts of America, but the minute it goes under like 17 Celsius, no, I can't do it.
Yeah.
That's what, like 50 something?
I don't do Fahrenheit. I'm not too sure.
It's 30 Fahrenheit.
It's times 2 or 3. I don't know, times 2.
I don't
know. So, yeah, it's probably about 15. It's probably about 15, and that's just.
Yeah, that's
all right. Any last words? Any words you want to give to any victims out there that is going through abuse? Like, any last word? Just one thing, one word.
Find a friend. Find your friends. Find that one friend that you can speak to, that you can confide in, so that you can get out.
Okay, definitely. I will say, get your proof together. Get all your proof together if you can.
I would say get your lawyer and get your money.
Get your money and a lawyer.
Yeah.
Love yourself. Love yourself.
Love yourself. Okay.
This might be fun, but run for the hills.
Run for the hills. I think that is great advice. So guys, this is the end of the show. Thank you guys for joining us again for another successful Top 5 at 5. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my cousin Vern, my sister, everybody all my family who was on. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Gail, Charles, and Geraldine, Mo Franklin.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Cleopatra Queen.
Valerie.
Julie Latham.
Thank you, Julian Latham.
Do you emoji? I'm talking to you. Yes, you. Do you emoji? You should. Emoji, a brand new social media platform where you can social your way. With a simple and quick way to engage, meet new friends, and social the way you just love to. No annoying blocking or censorship. Check out emoji.com from your mobile or desktop PC. Emoji.com. Do you emoji? Well, you should. Log in now. Emoji.com. Do you emoji?
Emoji.com. Log in, sign up, and emoji.